Good afternoon and welcome to the Happy Half Hour. I'm Leigh Kubin.
I'm Sandra Priestley. Welcome to the podcast. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
I'm drinking my Christmas cup, but it's this big, huge red Starbucks cup.
I love
But
it.
yeah, I only have like cold water with a squeeze of like a half a lime in it. And it is super tasty. I'm trying the whole drink more water, Sometimes I feel like I just had this come to Jesus moment with myself about all of the ridiculous little things that I can do that I don't do. I avoid. It's
Yeah,
like when I used to avoid journaling. Like it takes 5 minutes, just fucking do it. It's not hard to drink water.
right. And it's good for your
But I'm
body.
just not doing it. And it's good for my body. And it's
Yeah.
good for my brain. And it's good for my cells. And it's good for like, I don't know, manifesting.
Yeah.
Everything. It's all good. So this
Think
is what
about
I'm
what
trying
it's
to
doing for your skin. We're
look
over
at.
50 now,
We need hydration.
so we need hydration.
It's really important.
Yeah.
Yes. And the inflammation is a real thing after 50.
Sure.
So more water. So what are you
So
drinking?
I've been drinking water all day. Been really good with my water today.
Good
But
for you.
finally, in 2022, oh gosh, 2024,
Oh.
um, I'm having a Grenache from Seven Creeks.
Oh,
And
yes.
I'm having it in my beautiful cup that my mom got me for Christmas. I
Isn't that
think you
pretty?
can see I don't think you can see it, but it's
It's
like
got,
stained glass.
yeah.
So
Tell me about your week. What interesting things do you got going on?
I've got a hypnotherapy patient who's about 35, and she picks the wrong men
Okay.
over and over again. She meets them, she looks at them, she sizes them up. This is the
Mhm.
one.
Oh,
This is the
oh,
one.
yeah.
And jumps all the way to marriage, like
Yeah.
in an instant, and ignores every red flag. Like they're trying to tell her who they are. It's like we need to get the young ones and say, hey, pay attention.
Right.
When you see a red flag, it doesn't mean they're a horrible person. It just might mean this is not going to be a fit.
Not the one for you. I think we tend to do this like we jump to conclusions and we jump to the dream, right? Like
Mhm.
we add one and one, like we see two little pieces and we like create 972. Like
Right.
1 plus 1 does not equal 972. Or like I say with my daughter, sometimes like, you're connecting the dots, but you've only got two dots and somehow you created a unicorn. Like maybe he's not a unicorn.
Right. Or maybe he is and he's just imaginary.
It's possible, but when we have so little information, we have to go on fact and not assumption and not the dream.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this too, about how, in order to manifest whatever we want, we should be visualizing and we should be acting as if, and we should be, like living this dream and thinking about this dream. But like, no matter whether it's my daughter's friends or whether it's my coaching clients, I think it's like we create this dream out of nowhere and we place the person in it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of this, like, I want the most amazing marriage. I want to travel the world. I want to go here. I want to go there. Instead, we have this dream and we find this like random person.
And just plug him in.
It is like, yeah,
You'll
just like,
fit.
yeah, just
And
a
we
new
need,
character in a video game, there you go.
but we need the dream. The dream is important.
Yes.
And if we dream the dream and go on the dates, apply for the jobs,
Yeah.
whatever our dream is, do the things,
Mhm.
but we don't have to finish it. We don't have to say, this is the guy. The guy will show up. The job
Exactly.
will show up. The clients will show up. The money shows up.
So,
But when we get too much our hands in it, saying it's got to look like this, it's got to
yeah.
be this person, the
Mhm.
universe is going, man, I'm trying, but this
Yeah, you
dude's
won't
an
let it
ass.
go. Yeah. And then we tend to ignore all of the signs that suggest that this person
Yes.
or this job or this thing or this relationship or this friend isn't going to fit into my ideal story.
Yeah.
Right? We get so that we live the dream, we think we're buying the dress, and we've got this like dud
Yeah.
in front of us, but because we want the dream so much, we just kind of, dress them up in our minds and like hope and pray.
Yeah.
And we tend to then ignore what we want.
Mhm. Yeah.
The
We
biggest
don't
thing
see
is
it.
like we don't see it.
But
We sacrifice what we want
mhm.
for the dream,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we don't see what's real.
Mm-mm.
We're
But
living in the dream and not reality.
I think on some level we see it, but we
Yeah.
don't want to look at it because I've done that before
Mhm.
where I've ignored, like, even hiring somebody in the
Yeah.
interview, they'll give me a signal about who they are. And I remember I hired this one guy and I thought, well, he's just acting that way because he thinks that's what I want to hear. That's not
Mhm.
real. Oh, honey, it was real. I thought he was a nice guy. His education was such that he was so qualified. And I thought, what a great addition to the team. Have some diversity, have a male in the center. And I ended up getting another male that was off the charts, amazing. This guy was not. He was as dumb as a box of rocks.
Yeah.
But when I stepped back, I'm like, Leigh, you had all of the red flags in front of you, but
Mhm.
you didn't listen.
Yeah.
And I've done that countless times, but I always know at the end, like, okay, you had the information.
Yeah.
So when I start feeling judgy, when I'm like, nope, nope,
Mhm.
nope, not my path, not my friends, not my that, like,
Yeah.
and I feel like, oh, what if you're missing out on something? It's like
Mhm.
you're missing out on a headache. It's what you're missing out
Yeah,
on.
you're missing out on the headache, you're missing out on the chaos, you're missing out on the disappointment, you're missing out on you not living up to your potential or
Yeah.
not living up to the joy that you could.
Mm-hmm.
We hold on to like holding on to scraps
Yeah.
sometimes. We would do that at work too. In the federal government, when I was working there, we would do interviews and they would always talk about the cost to the taxpayer of how much it would cost to run an interview, just time off and all of the
Yeah.
things like time away for the interviewees, and it took a lot of time to get the right person. And so we always had that in the back of our minds, but at the same time, we would go through these interview processes and we would need, let's say we would need to fill a position right away. And we would have 5 people to interview. And we would be like, none of these 5 fit. These are going to be a headache. None of these 5 fit. But we need to hire someone. So we'll take the least of the worst.
Do you have a pulse?
Right. And
You're hired.
we would literally say that it's got a pulse and probably he'll learn. No, no. And like, this is like they come in the federal government. It's not that easy to get, like, to let someone go. And you just think, oh man, this is a lifetime of a headache. I'm going to need to retire before I have to deal with this forever.
Yeah.
And you imagine when we do that for a partner, like a spouse, and
Whole
we
nother
do
level.
that. We do that. And do you know how many women would tell me, like, my biggest regret was the husband that I chose? I mean, not me, mine is awesome, so is yours. But like, You know,
Yeah.
I hear that lots from women going, oh man, like I knew it. I
Yeah.
knew he drank too much. I knew it. I knew that there was something off, but I just wanted to, you know, uh, like I wanted to get married, or I felt like
I
I
was,
was that age I
yeah.
should be, or I wanted
College
kids.
was
So, you
done.
know,
It was time.
he's good enough. Like, and I was thinking about this when I was talking to my son. He was dating someone that was not for him. And I remember thinking, I said to him, can you see yourself marrying her? And he said, well, no. Then what the fuck are you doing?
Hmm.
Like, I mean, what the fuck are you doing? I really, really, I'm like, what
Yeah.
the fuck are you doing? And he's like, well, I like her. Okay, but you're wasting time. And not that I believe that, you know, we should be rushing into marriage. I think that most of us should wait for a long period of time.
Sure.
I know. But at the same time, I just kind of I thought like, if this person doesn't fit with what you need to support you, and you can't support her, and this doesn't seem like a reciprocal relationship where you're both on the same path and both wanting to grow together and evolve together, then like, why? It's almost like, you know, we just fell into a relationship, so we're just going to stay there. Might as well.
It's comfortable and it fits.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the probably the worst thing that we can do, because we end up sacrificing our values,
Hmm.
sometimes our morals, most of the time our boundaries.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why we're unhappy.
Hmm.
If
And
we can set those boundaries at the very beginning and stand and stay there, like, you know, be firm on them, it's like we teach people how we want to be treated.
mhm. Sometimes we're in a place where we're not worthy.
Yeah.
I can't stand up for myself. I can't say that.
Yeah.
Or he's the leader of me.
Oh yeah.
I have to be submissive to
Yeah.
him.
Mhm.
I was a fraud. I played that for a while. Like I
Mhm.
remember going through the okay, I have to be a good girl
Yeah.
and don't say too much and smile and don't have too much of an opinion.
Yeah.
And you can stay in this box and everyone will love you, Leigh.
Yeah.
I didn't stay too long. And I remember I was reading my journal one day and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like
Wow.
you sound, I'm trying to think of the appropriate word. I cuss on here,
Pathetic.
but I'm not going to say the P word. But I was like, you sound like a big P.
Pathetic.
Pathetic. And it was very pathetic. But I remember going, I can't do that. I can't be that. I had no desire. And luckily, Paul was on board. I think
Yeah.
he liked me more of feistily rather than fake submissively.
Yeah.
He loved my spirit about me. But I
Mhm.
lucked out because if he hadn't have been that way, it would have been a disaster.
Yeah. You know, when we're younger, we probably go through those periods where we are looking for a partner. We think we should have a partner. We think that you know, everyone, and maybe even your 35-year-old, right?
Mhm.
I'm
Well, it's been
35.
her pattern.
Yeah.
She's never gotten out of it. And
Yeah.
it's like, aren't you ready to shake this
Right.
and step into your power?
Hmm.
Because that's where it's at, is to be able to look at this guy that you really like
Hmm.
and go, mm, he's beautiful to look at.
Hmm.
Maybe he's good in bed. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I can say more on that. But there's more to it. I mean, don't get me wrong, that in my opinion should be a part of it,
Yeah.
but it's not everything.
Well, and not when you sacrifice yourself
Mm.
for it, right? Like, and that's the thing that I see in so many women, and maybe guys too, I don't know, but I don't work with guys. But I see in my coaching business and even in my friends, like how we sacrifice ourselves for the dream or for the plan. Sometimes it's the plan. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember I was a maid of honor for a wedding, and the night before the wedding, my friend said, Sandra, I'm marrying an asshole, and his family are assholes, and his friends are assholes. What am I doing? And I remember thinking, fuck,
Run.
the night before the wedding. And so I said, okay, we can stop this. It's still time. We can stop this. You go to the next city, go rent a hotel room, go there. I will stop this. You talk to him. I will talk to your parents. I will like cancel everything. I will take care of it all. You just deal with him and you go. And
Yeah.
she said, it's too late. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh,
She didn't leave.
she now has left, but she married him, and years and years and years later, she is now divorced from him.
Wow.
Um, but it wasn't without like so much trauma
Mm-hmm.
and difficult times,
Yeah.
that she went through. And in looking back, you know, I don't know that she would have made a different choice. I really don't. But in looking back, like, we've talked about that day a lot. We've talked about so much, but when you get married and you're young, like
Yeah.
you do what you think. And, if wouldn't it be great if at 20 years old, I had my 54 year or my 52-year old
52.
Cam is 54. But wouldn't it be great if I had the knowledge that I have now
Yeah.
at that age,
Yeah.
or the emotional intelligence and the emotional maturity? But, this is why probably getting married at 18 is not a great idea.
Right. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
your frontal lobe is not even developed.
Yeah.
You're not ready
Yeah.
for what that
Were you
looks like.
me? I thought it was 25, and I was like holding on until my kids turned 25, but I feel like you said it was 30. Is it now, is it getting
Oh, what are you
worse?
talking about? The frontal lobe?
The frontal lobe, is it now 30 years old?
No, it's like
The-
girls are 25, 26-ish. Boys
yeah.
are more 27, pushing
Good.
30. But and see, I raised the kids going like, Logan, you don't need to get married before you're 30.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that he was taking me seriously, but he was listening. And Mona would talk about getting married, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm not getting married till I'm 30. And she's, got Maria on her hip going, are you kidding me? I
Yeah.
mean, and they're married now.
How old is he?
He is 26. So he got
Oh,
married when they were 25.
okay.
And I don't think I ever talked about this on the podcast. Yeah, they totally snuck off and snuck a wedding in right before he went to the Navy. So we're going to have like a family wedding and for family and friends, hopefully here pretty soon when he gets ready to leave A school and go to
Mhm.
wherever he's going to go. I think they're wanting to plan it for them. So that's pretty exciting. That's why you don't want to get married young. Your brain's not fully developed, people. Things
Yeah.
are going to change.
How old were you when you got married?
I was 20, I was 25,
Hmm.
almost 26.
So was I. I
Mm-hmm.
was 25 and a half.
Yep.
And I don't know that I was I feel like I was ready, but I had been in a long-term relationship for like 7 years prior to meeting my husband. So I feel like I don't know, I sort of matured through that one,
Hmm.
realized what I didn't want.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
I still continue to grow, and it's funny because we've been married 26 years, and we're still changing and growing.
mhm,
It's just evolving. We get to one place and we're like, oh, this feels good. What else is there? And then but luckily we're in sync.
yeah,
So we support each other and cheer each other on.
yeah,
Like a lot of times we're doing different things, but sometimes we're doing the same thing. But it didn't have to go that way,
right.
you know?
It's because you know how we say we didn't know each other at all, and we started this podcast, and we're so similar.
Yeah.
Well, soon, like in May, Cam and I will be married for 26 years. Isn't that
Crazy.
crazy?
Crazy.
I know.
Yeah, because your anniversary is right around the time of our we still do anniversary.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So wild, right?
I know.
Anyway, yes, I think like one of the things that I really try to impress upon my kids is to know what your non-negotiables are
Hmm.
and try to always stick to them. Like,
Yeah.
and ideally, especially if it's in a partner, but even in friendships,
Uh-huh.
like know what your non-negotiable is. And if someone and let your people know.
Yeah.
And if someone breaches that, it's okay to walk away.
Hmm.
It's
I
okay to
was
say, this is my boundary. This is my non-negotiable. This is something that I can't handle. I said to my daughter, like, if she would never be in a casual relationship, like, it's just not her.
Yeah,
And so if someone suggested that would, that's what they would want, she can't ever do that. I said, this would be like putting your hand in a bear trap and wondering why the fuck it's hurting.
for sure. Yeah.
Like she knows this would not be for her. So sacrificing that and moving that boundary so that she accepts less than what she expects,
Yep.
never going to work.
Mm-mm. And we need to do that with friendships, with
Everything.
jobs, with yeah. I was invited to this networking group that was very exclusive.
Ooh, fancy.
And I went to one of their functions and I was kind of interviewing them. And I left it going, not my group.
Mm,
That some of the people there are very, very nice.
right.
But as a whole, like their message and their vibe and the way they treat some people
Mm,
made me go, you don't want in the middle of this. This is not your energy. You can go see them at different functions, but to be in the midst of that, you're going to be going, how did I get involved in this? This doesn't feel good. And you saw it right now.
yeah.
All you need to see. And so it was a very polite thank you, but I am so busy.
Yeah. But I mean, also we can get tied up in that ego bit, right? Like I know when I was with Beachbody, I had hit Star Diamond status. And so from there, it seemed like I was getting other MLM companies that were coming to me,
Mhm.
asking me to switch over, promising me all of this stuff. We'll fly you down to our headquarters. We'll give you a spot near the top of our non-pyramid, but like, and
Non-pyramid pyramid.
yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, like I was saying to Cam, oh my gosh, they're offering me this flight down to their headquarters so that I could see them and I could go here and they're going to do this for me and they're going to do that for me and they're going to provide me with an assistant and I went, oh, it was so sexy, this offer that they had for me, this one company, but I didn't like the product and I couldn't sell the product.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so they were saying, well, you don't have to sell the product, you sell the company and you love the company. And I went, nope,
Mhm.
can't do it.
Well,
I
and I don't
can't.
know
I
about
don't love
you.
the product.
I have to love it. If I don't love it and believe in it,
Yeah.
no.
And I might have loved that company, but I don't love it enough to have shitty products that I don't
Right.
like.
Yeah.
I just like I can't. It wasn't for me and I knew and it was hard to walk away even because I thought, "Oh, okay, I get to stand on stage at their conference. I get to be flown down like I am some sort of superstar.
Right.
I like all of this offer is massively attractive to me, but I couldn't. It was just against my integrity to do it. It was
Mhm.
against my personal boundaries, my personal beliefs, and I couldn't do it. And I fully believe like it wasn't it's not easy to turn that shit down.
Oh, no.
It's
No.
not easy to walk away
Because
from a
it
guy
feels good.
think
Like they
fits
want
into
me.
your dream. Exactly.
Hmm. Yeah.
But if you're going to make a decision that's going to affect you for your life, it better be in integrity with who you are. And if you're going to get into a relationship, it better be with someone who fits not only like into your dream, like, you want a Prince Charming and you get something less, but you just dress him up and throw him in the dream. Like,
Oh,
sacrifice what I desire, what I could have. Because as soon as we let go of something that it's like items in your house,
yeah.
really.
Yeah.
If we're holding on to something so tightly because we don't want to let it go, even though we don't really like it, once we finally let it go, we open up our hands to allow something that we truly desire in.
Right. I've got one of my patients that's a man. Well, I've got a couple of men that has very interesting stories. So when you were talking earlier about, well, I don't coach men. Well, I do.
Yeah.
But I've got one who was divorced and had a couple of kids and met this woman. Fell madly in love with her. She was in her early 30s.
Okay. And he was how old?
Oh, about the same age.
Okay.
Maybe mid 30s.
Okay.
But they're in range. She was a virgin
Oh,
and she wanted to wait until marriage.
okay.
And so they did. And that is their biggest hangup. She doesn't want to have sex.
Oh,
And so they are so sexually not compatible that their relationship suffers quite a bit. But she's like, because they had some kids, and she's like, I've already got my kids. Like, I have no desire. Or that's what
mhm.
he tells me, she says.
Right.
And I'm thinking, there was a red flag.
Yeah.
There was a huge, so men do the same thing we do.
Yeah.
They have a fantasy or a vision of what this means
Mhm.
instead of living in the moment. What does this mean? Well, it means I'm not going to have sex. That's what it means.
It's so interesting because my previous relationship I was in, just as you're telling the story, he used to say the biggest problem, okay, now he was 20-ish, but he used to say the biggest problem is soap operas. Like women watching soap operas and having this dream like of being swept off their feet and all of this stuff, and like that's the biggest lie. It's this fantasy that women have and it's just not real. And I thought, well, and you watch porn. Touche.
But if he feels that way, he's never going to do that. So that's a big sign like, oh, okay. He's
Yeah.
off the list. Done.
Right.
Yeah. You are
Exactly, because
dismissed.
if I want to live in a fucking rom-com and I am not going to accept anything else, because that's my boundary, that's what I expect. I'm going
Right.
to open myself up to finding someone that would do that. So finding someone that would like even open my doors. Like my husband opens my door for me all the time. And you know, it may seem like a small thing, but it's just so beautiful to
Mm-hmm.
have someone open the door for you all the
Yeah.
time. I feel like I deserve it. So if I want to live in a fucking rom-com, I will.
That is the
Sayonara.
reality you are creating.
Right. But here's the thing. This is a really good example. If I
Yeah.
want to live rom-com, great. But I can't take that dude and throw him in my rom-com.
No, he's not going to fit.
He is not going to fit, and I am going to be always disappointed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Like
Oh,
I
anyway,
settled, totally
yeah.
settled. Life
We solved
sucks.
all of the problems today.
Yeah. All of them.
All of them.
And we're out of time.
We are. All right.
Oh, thank you, Sandra. This was good. And
Was.
thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next Thursday on the Happy Half Hour. Bye.
Bye.